Welcome to Beacon of Creation, a weekly podcast on game design through the lens of Magic the Gathering. I'm Tim.
I'm Gabe Lincoln.
And I'm Peter, also known as Mono White Border.
And this episode is kind of your idea, Mono White Border. We're doing a keyword draft, and we're inspired by the Ringer podcast, like The Big Picture, where they'll draft movies from 1977 or something. We're going to be doing keywords today. We're going to be doing them from pre-modern up through Onslaught. You want to kind of break down how this draft setup works and what we're trying to do here?
Yep. So there's three of us. We're going to be doing a snake-style draft. We'll randomly decide who goes first, second, and third. Once that third person makes their pick, they're back up again. So then they pick, the second person picks, and then it's back to the first person, and we go zigzag back and forth. We're going to draft keywords based on 6 different criteria, and those 6 criteria are the 5 colors of magic: white, blue, black, red, and green. You'll pick a keyword and assign it to that color. And then there's also a wildcard slot that you can, that's kind of your X factor, something, a little extra space to get creative. Maybe there's something that you liked for white, but you like something a little bit better for white, so you draft this in your wildcard or something like that.
Yeah. A mechanic's still hanging out there. No one's taking it. But it's its color is kind of already filled for you. Put that in wildcard so you can still lock in that you got that mechanic.
My going into this idea is I'm going to be judging on 2 criteria. 1, how much it fits the color, and 2, how good the mechanic is. Because there's good mechanics that don't fit any colors super well, and there's bad mechanics that fit colors really well.
Yeah, and one of the things we were talking about pre-show is that a lot of early mechanics are ones that they just sprayed on a ton of cards over 3 sets and across all colors. When we have to pick what slot we're going to put a mechanic in, we have to kind of consider what were the existing cards in that color with that mechanic? Could you imagine new cards that use that mechanic that would really fit that color and what that color likes to do, or what players who like that color like to play? Mm-hmm. We got another kind of restriction here where we're not doing anything that's currently like an evergreen-ish keyword. We could have flying and trample and all that kind of stuff in there, but we've kind of pushed all that out.
If we had all these modern mechanics, we already know what colors they fit really well in. And also, those are the best mechanics. That is why they still exist.
The important thing is once you pick a mechanic, obviously it's a draft. That mechanic's off the board. You can't put it in a different color. So if somebody takes cycling and they put it in red, then cycling's off the table for everyone, and that cycling is in that person's red slot.
Yeah. And we'll be able to talk a little bit after you make your pick. You kind of explain a little bit. Other people, maybe there's a little trash talk of oh, you took that early, that kind of stuff. Hopefully we can have a little fun with that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, I'm nervous. Tim's been talking up. He's like, "Oh, obviously there's kind of these first 3 that you're gonna pick, and I'm sure I'm gonna go off the wall here."
Well, I think that's also part of what we're going to turn to the listeners for, where this is also kind of in the tradition of The Big Picture, the podcast, the movie podcast, The Big Picture, where after the draft they'll put a poll up: whose draft went the best, who ended up with the best 6 mechanics, fit the best in their colors, all that kind of stuff. Anything else before we get started?
I don't have it.
No. Let's get the order.
Yeah, so in order to get this order, we brought a third party in. Podcast fans might actually know Gabby from our recent Baldur's Gate episodes. She's going to take over. Here's Gabby.
All right. I have come into random.org with the 3 names. Here we go.
Spin that wheel.
Well, I have bad news. Tim is number 1.
Yes!
I should roll again. No! Okay. Here's the order. Tim, Gabe, Peter.
Oh, awesome. That's I wanted the third slot anyway, so this works out great for me.
Yeah, are you snake drafting?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Then third slot is the best slot.
Yeah.
All right,
I think Tim actually has the worst slot. I think going number 1's kind of a disadvantage.
Yeah, he has to put a stake in the ground. Okay. I'm going to get Tim back on the mic. Bye!
Bye, Gabby.
Thank you, Gabby. Alrighty, I got the number 1 slot. Kind of like I was saying earlier, I feel both good and bad about this, because I feel like there's a tier 1 that has 3 mechanics. kind of whichever one you take is sort of interchangeable. So maybe the wheel is actually the best place to be. Maybe on a whiteboard or Peter's got the best spot.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think I'm happy landing at 3. I think that's where I want to be.
What do I want to do here?
Kind of traditional strategy when you have the first pick in a draft is to take the best available thing. So I think that's what you should be going for.
I like this. You got to penalize me for stalling by just ripping me endlessly.
Oh, we were going to do that anyway.
I think what I have to go for here is I'm going to take kicker, and I'm going to put kicker in green.
Ooh.
There's just like a million cool green kicker cards. There's famous ones like Vines of Vastwood. There's a lot of like big boys like Grun or Vertaloth. And I feel like it fits green spirit. It's a very green thing to do, to just have a bunch of extra mana and then just go even higher with your cards as you get further into the game.
Kicker was definitely going to go high. We all knew that. I thought I think I would have personally gone for a different mechanic, but I'll keep my mouth quiet so that maybe I can steal it in the 3rd spot. We'll see what Gabe does.
I think the next best mechanic here is I'm going to go with flashback in blue.
Very nice. Very nice.
It's probably one of the most popular, just pure card advantage mechanic.
Yep.
Like, it's instant and sorcery focus. Blue is instant and sorcery focus. It's good. One, they're still doing cards with it today, and it's now deciduous.
Yeah. Like we got like a one-off flashback card.
Might not qualify. Yeah. We've got, one-off flashback cards.
Yeah.
Throughout Magic's recent history. Just as we need flashback on this card. It deserves it.
Any favorite flashback cards that you want to shout out here?
I know this isn't a blue card, but Prisoner's Dilemma is absolutely awesome.
That's like a new one, right?
It's it's Prisoner's Dilemma, 3 red.
You don't have to read this whole thing. We'll be here all day.
It is long as all I get out. Yeah. It is amazingly fun.
And you get to do it to him again, which is
and then you get to do it again.
If it was just a one-shot card, maybe that wouldn't be quite as cool, but knowing it's coming again later is just really devastating. So you can do little cards with flashback, you can do, your think twices, or you can do just like this big dreadful, like, oh, I have to survive this again kind of effect. Very nice pick.
Okay.
All right, MDub, what are you doing?
So I'm pretty excited to get this mechanic at 3. The thing I'm concerned about is I don't know which category to put it. It's a tough one to pick a category for.
Yeah, I went through the same thing, and I think the color alignment is what made this mechanic of the top 3 the hardest to place.
So I think we're on the same page here, Tin. I'm taking cycling. I really don't want to put it in my wildcard slot. I want to save that slot as like a little bit of a panic button. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm taking a look at my other colors. I'm taking a look at what I think I want in these other colors. And so I'm going to put cycling in red.
Ooh. Okay.
And this is a little bit too, like a little cagey. I'm not super pumped about the thoughts of other mechanics in red. Red feels like the shallowest mechanic pool to me. And you have the discard synergies in red for like some potential designs. You have some really legendary fun cards like Decree of Annihilation. If you really want everyone at the table to hate you, you can cycle for 5 red and destroy all the lands.
Sweltering Suns was another kind of classic one. Slice and Dice, that often shows up in uncommon, so that's often like a draft pick that I'm taking advantage of. I can see it.
Yeah, Gem Palm Incinerator, if you're going really old school.
Yeah.
That's a classic Goblins win con. So
That's true.
Cycling in red is one of those things where it just kind of helps smooth everything out late game when you really need to just get to your last copy of Lightning Bolt. You can cycle away some mediocre cards and get that last burn spell in. So, but I'm happy to end up with cycling. I think that's a fan favorite.
All right.
But now's the tricky part.
The snake draft, you get to do 2 in a row. You get your first pick of the general crowd.
I think for my second one, because there's like 2 tiers in the general crowd. There's like general crowd where this is like kind of still a good mechanic. It just doesn't have that like lovely little home.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is a bad mechanic everywhere but the one color it's in.
Oh, okay.
But I think I'm going to go with Morph in green.
All right.
I'm going with the fixing mechanics. I guess that's my strategy here. Let's go with mechanics that help smooth out play patterns in limited environments. And I like it in green because, play your 3-drop and then flip it into a big 6/6 or 7/7 late in the game. I think is pretty fitting. Back in like the original Onslaught, there was this like morph theme where morph was a beast scope camouflage, so they morph and then they come out of their camouflage, they come out of hiding and attack you. I think that's a cool flavor,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll grab morph on the snake, the back-to-back pick.
I respect it. Morph, maybe a part of a judge of a mechanic is how many descendants it has. If you got manifest, you got megamorph, you got cloaking, you got all that kind of stuff. All right, Gabe, what's your 5th pick here?
Okay, my pick, I'm going to go. I am not saving my wild card slot. I'm going to go split cards in the wild cards.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Interesting strategy.
Right? Because, like, you talked about how many descendant mechanics there are for it. And, like, there's all of the different variations on split cards. And then there on, like, normal split cards. And then there's modal double face cards, which are like split cards, except they have 2 faces instead of the one. And then there's adventure cards, which are split cards, except you exile it, and then you can play the other half later. Split cards are a very rich vein of design that Magic has consistently gone back to over and over again. And I think Magic will continue to go back to over and over again as like time goes on.
I like this. You're using the wildcard slot almost like a 5-color slot. This is cool.
Yeah.
It's so nice. It can't go anywhere else because it's great for everything.
Split cards are like intrinsically a lot of times multicolored. Like, the original split cards were one color, and then kind of the innovation was making them like fire and ice, red and blue. So I feel like the wild card slot's a natural home too, because it lets you encourage that multicolor aspect to them.
Alrighty. I was hoping to get morph, but maybe it was too good.
I'm glad I could steal that one from you, Tim.
Yeah. All right, I think I'm gonna do storm in red.
Yep.
Yeah, that was actually like once it got back to me, if that was still available, exactly what I was gonna. Right?
Yep.
It's just maybe I shouldn't be saying this pick is so right, but listen, I don't care about winning this. I care about discussing Magic.
Once the pick is made, I think that opens the floodgates of like just laying it bare. What we were hoping to do with it.
We're in unknown territory right now. No one that I know of has drafted mechanics from pre-modern. So it's very nice. I feel like so far the draft is going about how I expected. So you taking Storm there in 6 in red specifically is in line with my thinking as well. What's your favorite red Storm card, Tim?
I really am happy casting any of them, and I think that's part of it's the Storm scale. So we're not trying to say these are mechanics that are all for standard, because we're going to run out of mechanics that are good for standard. These are just Magic mechanics. What from the first 10 years of Magic, what were the ones that we liked? And if I'm casting Grape Shot, I'm having a good time. I cast Empty the Warrens last week. I had a great time. Galvanic Relay is a nice cool one. Impulse Draw and Storm. Dragon Storm, people love doing that. That was even a tournament deck for a little while. Spreading Insurrection, gain control of a bunch of stuff. Fun to drop on the EDH table. Also, I'm kind of respecting some of the strategy that you were talking about earlier, where it might be a little harder to find homes for red and maybe another color. And if I can find something, Storm for red feels good. So where I can place a high-ranking mechanic in a hard-to-fit color, I'm going to do it.
Yep. I will say I think we are closing in on the where we're going to get to really questionable picks here very soon.
Yeah. And I think I might even be doing it right now. We're going to let me know how you feel about this. For the 7th overall pick, my 3rd pick, I'm going to pick poison counters for black.
Whoa! Oh my god! Poison counters off the board. Yeah, I'm surprised.
Introduced in Legends. It's come back in a bunch of sets. People love to hate it.
What a fitting color to put it in. To put it in black. People love to hate it.
Yeah. There's a lot of good black poison cards. I mean, famously green is the best at it, but I've already got that green slot filled. I feel good about poison counters. I think they're fun. You could proliferate them, which I think added a whole new angle where it's not just about pumping up one little creature a million times. Yeah, poison counters. That's my snake pick.
I love it. It's bold. It's brave, I think the audience is really going to respect the bravery in that pick.
Yeah.
Your theme right now, Tim, is kind of like the bad guy theme. Like you have kicker, which is okay, but everything's kicker, and then it's storm and poison counters.
Storm and poison
it's a little,
counters. Yeah,
you're kind of the bad boy of the keyword draft.
Yeah. I'm not afraid to win a game. All right, Gabe, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking Threshold in black.
Oh, dang it.
Okay.
It seems like every couple of sets there's a blue-black graveyard size matters, and Threshold is the OG graveyard size matters mechanic. So
yeah, kind of like the morph pick. This is like, what are the descendants of this? Kind of like split cards. How many mechanics were based off of this?
Yeah, and it hasn't been explicitly named recently. They haven't done 7 cards in your graveyard since then, but 8 cards in your graveyard, permanents in your graveyard, Fathomless Descent,
Delirium,
card types. All of that can be traced back to Threshold as the OG graveyard size matters.
I like it. Are there any good Threshold cards that we want to shout out?
Black Threshold, Cabal Ritual. Shout out to Cabal Ritual.
Oh yeah, Cabal Ritual. Yeah, there you go.
That is OP. Far Wanderings is another one that comes to mind. But that's
Werebear is a classic green one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Werebear.
We were just talking Nut Collector pre-pod. Nut Collector.
Yeah,
formerly $50 card.
Nut Collector. Yeah.
Threshold.
Oh boy. I feel like this is where the pressure.
I gotta take my hoodie off. I'm heating up right now.
Right. Threshold is off the board. I felt like that was the last really solid mechanic, like really comfortably solid mechanic. Threshold Black was going to be my pick, but Gabe stepped in, and so I am reeling now. So I have back to back.
Yeah.
There's 2 mechanics that I think are at the top of the list right now, and I think they both go into the wild card slot.
Oh wow!
So I'm going to use one of my picks on the wild card, and I'm going to use my wild card on Snow.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go with Snow. It started out dicey when they originally came out in Ice Age.
That's true.
But I feel like it's kind of weaseled its way into a lot of people's hearts. It's kind of like a poison counters pick here, where it's people love to hate it. And I definitely don't feel like it really belongs in any color, because part of what makes snow is snow mana, snow land. So I think putting that in the wild card slot feels right. Kind of similar to what Gabe was doing with split cards. It's like it goes with everything. I'm gonna lock it in there and give it to everything.
Alrighty.
And then okay. And then I think my next pick is maybe I'm like honestly nervous to announce my picks. I'm so concerned about them. I can feel the judgment of everybody.
As you should.
But I know. I think I'm gonna pick phasing. and I'm gonna put it in white. I think white, the evolution of phasing as a white-centered mechanic, specifically in Commander as well, has been really neat, really cool. I think it adds a lot of dimension to what phasing can do. I think phasing coming back is something that you phase in and then you phase out and then phase back in, rather than just being an untapped step thing, has been a nice innovation. I think I'm comfortable giving phasing some love, and I think the best spot for it is in white. Kind of leaving my blue slot open, similar to the Tim's strategy. Want to leave blue open.
I like this, the kind of phase out, like, we just want this to be totally protected, but we don't want to do like blinking ETB stuff.
Shenanigans, yeah.
I guess like the original phasing I always liked, but the cards were always too bad to play.
Right.
They weren't worth it for only getting them half the time. I still want to see the comeback of phasing, not just phase out. How can we make some cards that are fun to phase in and out? Maybe it's my love of homerids. I don't know. It's the same deal. Things that kind of go back and forth in their power.
I'm excited. Now I'm excited. The pressure's back off, and I can just be loose again. And now I get to see what mechanic you guys have to pull from the scrap heap.
All right, Gabe, what are you thinking?
I'm gonna go with pitch cards from alliances in red. Sort of I know the most defining pitch card from alliances that has gone on to define multiple formats is Force of Will. But the idea of like, oh, I don't care about this card, and so I'm going to get rid of this card and then use it to play another card is a very red concept.
That's fair.
And at least in my pick's defense, the only pitch elemental that has been banned so far is the red.
Right. Extraordinarily relevant. Red has gotten banned out of the pitch cards in Modern.
It's the Descendant argument again. Like we had Pyrokinesis as the original one, and then Fury is the Modern Horizons card that basically is Pyrokinesis, but also with a double striking creature attached. Discard a card. I can see that. That's more red than any other color.
For sure. Definitely if they were to go in on designing some like if they were to go in on a set having a defining mechanic of pitching, you could see it very easily being centered in red somehow. Future baseball set with pitch cards. Fastball. Exile a red card from your hand to cast fastball without paying its mana.
Beanball. Exile a red card from your hand to cast Beanball without paying its mana cost.
Alrighty. I've got 2 picks in a row here, and then I'll have one final pick at the very end. I got blue and white open, and then I've got my wild card. There's been sort of this new meta that I didn't expect of using wild card to be Wooburg. And one of my picks, I think, actually might be a better fit for Wooburg. But I think I'm going to try it in white, and this might be another explosive one here. I'm going to put Slivers in white.
Oh my gosh! I thought I knew what you were going to say. I had no idea.
I got an argument for this. I did the research on this one. Yeah. I had this as like a 4th or 5th round option. Now, Slivers, maybe the top 2 are going to be the green fixing Slivers or whatever. But almost all the other top Slivers are white. The number 3, Cloud Shredder Sliver, the flying in haste. Number 4, Harmonic Sliver, destroy artifacts and enchantments. Sentinel Sliver, so that they have vigilance, so you can tap them again. Crystalline Sliver, Shroud, Double Strike. We got like a thick block of white slivers right near the top, and slivers are just white. That's the color that they are the most. A hive mind, a collective, working together. No single sliver matters more than all of them together. So that's why my white slot is going to slivers.
Wow. I did not. I don't even think Slivers was in my radar as draftable. But your argument's very good for Slivers in white. I don't know if there's another good mechanic to put in white. Like I think I know what mechanic I'd put in white, and it's terrible. So I'm excited. Yeah, Not to get you in like a kind of dismay, Gabe, about having your white slot left open.
No, I'm feeling good about slivers here. There's another white mechanic out there. I think we left one for Gabe to work on at some point.
I'm wondering if it's the one that I also thought about throwing in white. The bad boy draft continues though for Tim with slivers.
Just the super villains, yeah.
I'm excited to see how you keep it going.
I want the heavy hitters. And I got another one here. I've got blue and wild card left. Normal strategy, you're supposed to fill the narrow ones, and then my very last pick will just be the best remaining mechanic, whatever that happens to be. What would I put in blue here?
Blue definitely, as from Alpha, felt like the most open to me. I think Gabe definitely got the bluest of blue mechanics.
Yeah.
Right away, and that was good because flashback was high up there. You want to take flashback, but then it just became Tim and I both saw it. We're just like, well, we'll just sit.
We're not going to get the premium one.
Yeah, I don't care what goes in there.
Maybe I'll just wedge whatever I want into blue at the very end. I'll give myself time to think.
Ooh.
And instead, I'll just throw domain in my wild card.
Yeah. Yep. That was the one I was debating.
Currently controversial and modern. It would be kind of green as its first, most natural home. But if it can't be green, it should be Wooburg.
I kind of thought you were going to take domain in white.
Because of leyline binding? I thought
because of leyline binding. White kind of has always been this like, we're the five, peace and harmony. Everybody work together, 5-color, but without the fixing. But yeah, I was debating domain or snow earlier. I went with snow.
Domain, I also get another scourge of modern right now, the Scion of Draco, who, thanks to the new ley line, is just a 2-mana vigilance, hexproof, first strike, trample, whatever you want. So I'm feeling good about domain. Still relevant today. Still a cool mechanic. Put in a draft set. I want to do something about it. I want to play towards it. There are a bunch of classic draft cards with domain. When we were doing the Simic podcast, one of the top cards that we looked at was a domain card. So I'm feeling okay about having domain in my pile, even if it's in the colorless slot, the wild card slot. Alrighty, Gabe, you got green and white. What are you thinking?
I think I have a solid choice for both of them.
I can see it.
I think I'm going to go with protection in white.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
I mean, White Knight is one of the more iconic cards in Alpha, and protection from X is still something that White does today, although a lot less. This card is just protected from X, and a lot more. It becomes protection from X until end of turn.
Yeah. I think your alignment's pretty solid there. Protection, maybe as a temporary mechanic is where it lives on rather than as a...
Protection from everything is a hard line, though. Like, that card text, amazing.
Yeah. Does it have protection from this? Is it a thing? Yes. Okay. It has protection.
Progenitus as the iconic protection from card, but I haven't been playing for that long, so the protection combat trick from Mom is one that I was also thinking about.
Big commander mechanic. We got the One Ring, we got Mother of Runes, we got all the Sword of X and Y's are all protection cards.
Mother of Runes is also white card.
Yeah, I think you're doing great putting that in white. All right, M-Dub, no one can disrupt you. You're making your last two picks, blue and black.
I know. I'm locked in. It's tough because now all of the mechanics that we have are kind of intrinsically flawed, it feels like. But they all also, I feel like, to some extent, inspire the mechanics after them. Vamping here to put off deciding.
Take your time. We got the power of editing if you need a minute or two.
The magic of editing.
Yeah. compose
It is
yourself.
quite magic.
I think. Okay, I think I've narrowed it down to the two that I most want and that I feel like I can most strongly argue for. I think they both offer bad gameplay strategies, but this one offers the most fun. This one offers the most fun of the bad gameplay. So I'm going to take Buyback in blue.
Okay. Buyback in blue. Capsize, yeah. You're trying to take some of the bad guy away from me. You want,
yes, exactly.
You want
I got Capsize, Walk the Aeons, Forbid. There's tons of good buyback cards in blue. You know,
very nice.
It's once again, it is that limited smoothing. So I'm kind of connecting it to my other ones. It's that very limited card does something a little later in the game. You know, one of the big issues with buyback is the repetitive gameplay patterns that it's going to create.
But if you're under pressure, you got to fire it off a little bit early.
Yeah. It does feel a little weird to have kicker or a mechanic that's just kicker. When Tim drafted kicker, I feel like I got the knockoff brand kicker. But maybe knockoff kicker is still better than most of the other mechanics on this list. And then this is the only this mechanic. I figured it would make it this far. I knew before we even started that this is the mechanic I was going to draft, and I'm glad. I knew I was going to draft it last. That's why I've left my black slot open.
The strategy is coming together.
All the pieces are forming together. I am going to take regenerate. I'm going to take regenerate in black.
Alrighty, regenerate.
This is probably a vanity pick, but you know what's the best creature type in Magic? Skeletons. What do skeletons do? They regenerate.
It all comes together. You're back on brand. I believe it now.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is kind of an offensive move on Gabe because Gabe has green left, and regenerate the card regenerate is a green card, so that could have fit in there.
Ooh, yes. All part of the plan.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I wasn't even considering regenerate for green.
Okay. Fair enough.
There are two I'm considering for green, and I think I've got to go with manland for green. Because, like, lands that become mans is a very green thing. Like, yeah, you know, the lands that become mans inherently aren't really, like, specific to green. They tend to do those as a giant cycle of lands. Yeah. But, you know, green gets a ton of cards that make, you know, target land becomes a 4/4 elemental until end of turn. Target land becomes a dinosaur until end of turn.
It's like a Nissa thing to do.
Yep. You've had some great Nissa planeswalkers win Pro Tours because they turned a creature into a 4/4.
Dryad Arbor is the always on man land.
Yeah.
This is good. This fits green.
It's a very green thing, even though like the card that define the category are a specifically green thing.
It feels like a great place to pick up a mechanic that people like. Everyone likes manlands, and you're picking it up. You got it really late, and you got it in a color that makes sense. Feels very calculated.
Yeah. Nobody else has green open. I was between manlands and rampage, because rampage is also a very green thing. It's a shame it's every creature after the first. Instead of just whenever this creature becomes blocked, it gets +N+N.
And Rampage doesn't have, you know, some of these mechanics, the alpha version is a little weak, but then the spin-offs are like these really nice mechanics. But the spin-off of Rampage is Bushido, and that wasn't that good either.
Bushido like attacks alone though? Or no, Bushido
that's exalted.
Yeah, Bushido is just it gets +N+N until end.
Yep.
But manlands are cool.
I like it. Yeah, Treetop Village was like an early competitive one.
Styrian Wildwood, I think, has also gotten some Pro Tour top 8s.
The Hydra, Layer the Hydra. Yeah.
A
lot of good green ones.
The new cycle from WoW and LCI, I know at least the blue-green is seeing play in standard.
All right. Tim,
All right.
big finish here.
Last pick here, yeah.
I'm very curious to see what you land on for blue. It's funny because we both left blue open till the very end, and then I'm still like, oh man, this is still hard.
Yeah, it kind of dried up a little bit. I was hoping to get phasing last. That was my plan for blue.
Oh no, I was able to grab phasing.
Yeah. The one I'm going to pick is kind of tied with another color, but I feel like it's still quite blue because what I'm going to pick is shadow in blue.
Oh, shadow. Interesting.
Shadow can only be blocked or block other shadow creatures.
Right.
I was thinking you were going to go with Ristic at the end. It's like the last one.
I guess that's more bad boy, yeah.
Just for the one bad card. The one I was debating.
I mean, like, there's a blue, unless its creature pays an addition, unless its controller pays an additional X counterspell, like every other set.
Yeah.
You know?
Like Mana Leak, you're kind of putting into the Ristic camp. All right.
They do that on the wiki, so I'm just following the wiki. It says 77% of Ristic cards are in blue.
So what's the logic behind Shadow here, Tim?
Well, Shadow, it's nice to have just like a little blue creature that's unblockable. That's just like a fun thing. Hey, it's only got 1 power. Hey, it's got like an attack trigger or a combat damage saboteur kind of thing. I think the thing that puts Shadow over that sometimes is that you could potentially have an environment around it. I played a lot of Tempest was like a set that I actually played. I was really fond of, and that I remember playing that block a lot. And so Shadow is like a natural thing to me. I don't know. It feels really good to me to play a Shadow card, to imagine an environment with, 10, 12, 15 Shadow creatures. They've kind of like made it a black mechanic since then, maybe because it's just darkness is Shadow is black. But we got Literal Core, which is the classic, and then some other kind of fun ones. If you need a creature to be able to attack for ninjutsu or something, Shadow Commander decks will play some Shadow cards. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just a mechanic that I love. Sometimes you got to pick one just because you like it. And the other things that I'm considering like weren't that blue. Like I had Madness, but Madness is like
Madness was on my blue list.
Yeah, it's like a deep third place though. Kind of charms, so you could do Archmage charm, commands kind of thing, which started in Visions. Wishes, you're going to do your Cunning Wish or whatever for the cards that you need in your control deck. But ultimately, those were a little too watered down, so I went with Shadow, which I just love myself.
Yep. Shroud didn't make it for me. Shroud was the other blue one I was considering as like a progenitor to Hexproof, but Shroud is such a bad play pattern.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah, there are some good Shroud cards. That could have been a good pick. Ink Leviathan, Wall Denial, those are like classic ones. If you want to just blow someone up in Old Ravnica Draft, the Simic Sky Swallower is another good one. So yeah, that could have fit too, but I don't love Shroud. I'm just being honest.
Yep. and that's why I went with Buyback. Is there anything on the list that you're surprised to see there still? Anything that didn't get picked up that maybe you thought would by this point?
I'm somewhat surprised that Landwalk didn't make it as blue, because that is like a quintessentially blue mechanic. Turning your opponent's stuff into a disadvantage is such a blue idea.
Yeah, I guess it was a classic combo to like turn your opponent's lands into islands, and then all your serpents and stuff can attack for free now.
There's a meme draft that exists in this game that we played where someone takes horsemanship, banding, cumulative upkeep, where they just take all the funny meme mechanics that people just kind of like hold a special place for.
I was considering banding for white, but no. Like, then I realized that was not a good idea.
I wanted to pick banding, but it was just too far out there. I felt like my Slivers pick was as wild as I wanted to get.
Yeah. Slivers was, like I thought you couldn't get me again when you said poison counters. And then you said Slivers, and you got me again.
I was somewhat surprised poison counters were taken, but I guess I am very down on poison counters myself.
Yeah.
But it is a very popular mechanic in like the custom Magic Johnny Central space.
Yeah. It's murdered people. Maybe we can each read our list here to give everyone an idea of how we did, and then we'll also put a poll up so people can vote. Which draft do you think came out the best? What was the most fun? Or just vote with your heart, whichever one you thought was the most fun draft. So my list here was in white, I got Slivers. Blue, I got Shadow. Black, I got Poison Counters. Red, I got Storm. Green, got Kicker. Wildcard, Domain.
In white, I have Protection. In blue, I have Flashback. In black, I have Threshold. In red, I have Pitch Cards. In green, I have Manland. And in the wild card slot, I have Split Card.
And then my draft ended up in white. I grabbed Phasing, followed by Buyback in blue. In black, I got Regenerate. Red, I came up with Cycling. Green, I took Morph. And my wild card slot was Snow.
The good back half of that list right there. Cycling, Morph, Snow.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see these with the different pairings with them. I think overall, I'm happy having drafted in third place and getting those back-to-backs felt really strong.
I think my slots really well. I am especially glad I decided to go with Manlands over Rampage. As my last pick.
Yep.
That was a good decision.
Flashback in blue was like, that is where it goes.
Yeah. Alrighty. Any other things about the draft here? Any other mechanics that we missed out on? I also loved Rebels, so if I really needed it, if Slivers went away, that was something that I was willing to pick up.
Rebel Searching was in my list of white mechanics as well.
Yeah.
Flanking is also, that was the first mechanic I ever played with when I first started playing Magic. When I first started playing Magic, I bought a Time Spiral pre-constructed Knights deck. And all the Knights had flanking, and I thought they were so cool. Gust Cloak is something that was like, it's not really a mechanic, but you attack and then you untap when you're blocked. I'd also like to shout out to, let me just shout out all the cool white cards I used to play. So shout out to Deathblade Elite, he's a 1/1 with Provoke, and then he can prevent all combat damage. So I've done some cool things with my Deathblade Elite, and then provoking a blocker that I don't want blocking a different type of creature. So he's a cool little card too.
Provoke was like the mechanic that was like, put me in, coach, and they just went with Fight instead. And just Provoke is stuck on the sidelines.
Yeah, poor guy.
Provoke is cool, but Fight exists, so.
Yeah, once you figure out that you can have creatures fight out of combat, you don't need Provoke, and Provoke doesn't serve a strong enough purpose without that, especially because you can't guarantee that your big card has Provoke is the problem.
There's some kind of cool things about Provoke where with Fight, it's like two creatures are fighting each other, but it's not combat damage. There's some weird rules things about fighting that might be kind of unintuitive compared to Provoke, which is stays in combat. You're doing combat related things. So there's maybe a world where maybe it was good, but they've never brought it back. So maybe they disagree with me there. Alrighty, that was super fun. I was excited for this ep, and it lived up to it for me.
Yeah, we've been planning this forever, and I'm glad we finally got to fire it off. Thanks for joining us, Gabe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad y'all had me. It was fun again.
Yeah, we got a new channel on the Discord, a contributor channel. If you want to try to be on an episode, you don't necessarily have an idea that you're trying to get through on an episode. We just want to be a guest or something. Jump on the Discord, get that contributor role, and you can be part of recordings too. Before we get out of here, we got our new design challenge for April. It's going to be Solar Eclipse. This is a big deal over in the US that's happening in April. And we got kind of a challenge here. Design a common with Daybound, Nightbound. The Midnight Hunt thing. It doesn't have to be werewolfy. It doesn't even have to be Innistrad flavor. Just give us a common with Daybound, Nightbound. As usual, we got some bonus points. So if you want a starting point, we got a couple of those for you. The person who created this challenge, Juliet, sent along Breeding Lilacs. Make this a plant or have it make plant tokens. So maybe this is the right season. April flowers are starting to bloom. And then mono whiteboarder, you had one too. What's that?
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited. I actually live in the path of totality, so the solar eclipse is it's gonna completely block out the sun where I live, and I don't have to go anywhere to see it. So my bonus point is path of totality. Have the rules text include each, all, every, or both.
Very nice, very nice. It encompasses everything.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be due April 26th. I'm looking forward to it. Where do you guys think with Daybound, Nightbound?
Yeah, I think I'm excited to try and reflavor it away from Innistrad a little bit. You know, maybe get rid of the werewolf flavor and try and do something else with Daybound, Nightbound. You know, maybe I'll go back to my roots and do some try and look at some old horror movies for some inspiration.
Ooh. Gabe, anything jump to mind when you hear transforming Daybound, Nightbound?
The plant part is like, I'm sure you could make a inverse Daybound, Nightbound card with the plant. Like, it's stronger during the day and weaker at night.
Yeah. Plants versus zombies kind of thing. Yeah, I like this.
Yeah. I'm sure there's problems with that, you know, but it's also like, yeah, that sounds like a cool thing that having the sun idea with the plant and the night could do, you know?
Yeah, you could do like a ETB or it becomes day, get a plant. Something like that.
Yeah.
And then Nightbound, you're only going Nightbound because you want to flip back to day to get another plant, and flip back to night and flip back to day. All right.
Yeah, or like the inverse werewolf where it's like it has Daybound and Nightbound, but you're casting it on the Nightbound side.
Oh.
So when you cast, I don't think this actually works in like the rules as they are. But like you cast it in and it becomes night, and then you've got to do the thing to get it to become day. So that way you get, you know, this big plant or like this big effect when it becomes day.
Alrighty. Yeah, that makes total sense to me. That's going to be it for our podcast for the week. Jump on the Discord. That's where all the action is. We've got more You Make the Pack stuff going. So if you want to just design some cards, look at other people's cool new cards. That's a great thing to do. It's basically every day people are posting cards.
On the Discord, we've got we're going through a real fast pack, and You Make the Pack right now.
Yeah.
Real fast. So you better hop
Turbo
on that.
edition. Yeah. There might even be a new one by the time this episode goes up. It's going so fast.
It is going very fast.
Before we get out of here, anything you guys want to plug? Anything you want to mention before we hang up for today?
Yeah. In M-Dub's movie corner, have we had any Dune chat on the pod? Since the movie release? Do we have any? I went to go see it in the Indiana State IMAX, which is the largest IMAX screen on the Eastern Seaboard or whatever. They have some big spiel, but it was pretty phenomenal. You know, the recommendation that I've heard a lot of people suggest, and I would 100% back that is go read the synopsis of the first Dune, because that's all backstory. So if you're really into the like if you're really into the director, or maybe you're a huge Dune nerd, like go ahead and watch the first one. You'll enjoy it. But if you really just want to see some like cool action and some amazing music and some great visual effects, like just read the synopsis and then go check out Dune 2, because it's pretty. It left an impact on me for sure.
Wow, the strategy. We're skipping straight to Two Towers. We're doing Empire Strikes Back. I like this.
Yeah. I had not seen the original Dune when it first came out in 2017, and so I watched the first one with my brother, and my brother like is a big Dune nerd, so he was explaining everything as it was happening. So he kind of kept me like in frame, if you will, like, okay, here's what's happening right now, so that you understand it. And then I was ready to go see Dune 2 after that.
Gabe, you got anything?
Not right now.
All right. If you want to find any of us, we're all in that Discord. And if you want to find me especially, I'm at Tim F. Riley. Feel free to send me any messages or whatever you want to do. If you like this episode, be sure to tell us, because we're at least hoping to do 2 more. Magic kind of clean these segments into 3 sections now. We got pre-modern, we got modern to Pioneer, and then we got Pioneer Plus. So we can hopefully do 2 more of these someday. with many, many more mechanics to choose from, perhaps. But if you're looking forward to it, reach out so we can get people on there. And most of all, thanks for listening.